You don't get what you want in life. You get what you are. And what you are is a direct result of what you've mastered. If you can't master your emotions, they will master you. And when your emotions are in charge, logic takes a back seat, wisdom goes silent, and regret takes the wheel. Now, I'm not saying emotions are bad. Emotions are beautiful. They add color to life. But emotions were meant to be indicators, not dictators. See, the wind blows for all of us. The storms come to every door. But the question is, do you panic when the storm hits? Or do you anchor deeper, tighten your sail, and steer through it with calm determination? Let me tell you, the people who win in the long run are not the ones who feel the most, but the ones who manage what they feel. Anger might show up, fear might knock, sadness might visit. But mastery means you don't invite them to move in. It's about developing an inner thermostat, not a thermometer that rises with every heated moment, but a thermostat that sets the tone and says, "Who I am regardless of the chaos." Every time you pause before reacting, you grow. Every time you choose your response, you rise. And every time you stay composed, you become stronger than the emotion trying to control you. Control your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them, channeling them, and choosing a better response. Because at the end of the day, your emotional discipline will decide your peace, your power, and your future. You are what you master, emotions included. That simple truth holds more weight than most people realize. Because in the end, life doesn't just reward talent or charm or even intelligence. Life rewards self-control, mastery. And that includes mastery over the one thing that controls almost everything you do, your emotions. When you're angry, you speak before thinking. When you're afraid, you shrink when you should rise. When you're jealous, you sabotage your own peace. And when you're overwhelmed, you forget who you are. But the moment you choose to master your emotions, the game changes. It doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you start leading yourself first. It means that instead of exploding when you're triggered, you breathe. Instead of panicking when plans fall apart, you adapt. Instead of complaining when things get tough, you get focused. Mastery isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about training your inner world to stay calm when the outer world is on fire. Because anyone can be nice when life is easy. But who are you when you're tested? Who are you when you're tired, disappointed, or betrayed? That's when your mastery shows up, or your lack of it. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And emotional habits are the hardest to see, but the most powerful to change. Start small. When you feel frustration, pause. When you feel anger, question it. When you feel fear, challenge it. Over time, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about peace. You carry it. You'll be able to sit in the middle of noise and stay centered. You'll stop reacting to everything and start responding with wisdom. Because when you master your emotions, you don't just protect your peace. You protect your power. And in this life, nothing is more powerful than someone who feels deeply but still chooses wisely. Emotions are indicators, not dictators. They're like signals on the dashboard of your mind. They tell you something's happening beneath the surface. They alert you that something matters. But they were never meant to take the wheel. They're messengers, not masters. A flash of anger might be telling you a boundary was crossed. Sadness may be pointing to something or someone you truly value. Fear can be a sign that you're stepping into the unknown. But here's the mistake most people make. They obey every emotional signal as if it's a command. They let a moment of irritation become a full-blown argument. They let insecurity stop them from speaking up. They let anxiety chain them to comfort zones. When emotions become dictators, your life becomes reactive. You say things you regret. You make choices that betray your values. You become a passenger in your own story. But when you treat emotions as indicators, you pause. You listen. You ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? And then you decide what to do. Not based on impulse, but based on intention. Emotional maturity is not about becoming emotionless. It's about creating space between what you feel and what you do. It's realizing that just because a storm passes through your mind doesn't mean it has to flood your decisions. Even the strongest waves of emotion can be observed. And when you become the observer, you become the master. You can feel anger and choose patience. Feel fear and choose courage. Feel doubt and still take the next step. Because you've learned to take counsel from your emotions, not commands. The world will always throw things at you. Situations, people, pressure. It's not the outside world that defines your direction. It's your response to it. And when emotions are no longer the boss, but simply part of the process, that's when you lead your life, not follow it. Winners manage feelings. They don't let feelings manage them. That's the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck. Everyone feels. Everyone gets discouraged, angry, afraid, or overwhelmed. But not everyone lets those emotions run the show. Winners know that emotions are part of life, but they refuse to be ruled by them. They've learned how to feel deeply without losing control. They understand that letting emotions take over can turn a small setback into a permanent detour. Because when feelings manage you, your reactions become reckless, your focus disappears, and your potential gets buried under impulse. But when you manage your feelings, you don't just react. You respond. You don't explode. You express. You don't panic. You plan. It's not that winners don't feel pressure or pain. It's that they've built the inner muscle to keep moving anyway. They've trained themselves to pause, to breathe, to think before they speak, to act with purpose even when emotions scream otherwise. Because they know temporary feelings should never shape permanent outcomes. They don't make decisions in moments of anger. They don't speak out of spite. They don't quit just because fear shows up. Instead, they step back. They ask, what's the right thing to do here? Not just the easy one? And that one question changes everything. Because emotions can be loud. They can cloud your mind, distort your judgment, and pull you away from your path. Winners don't fight emotions by force. They guide them with discipline. They sit with their feelings without being swallowed by them. They turn emotion into energy, fuel for action, not an excuse for chaos. In the heat of the moment, they stay cool. When the world pushes, they push back with clarity. And in doing so, they prove that true strength is not how loudly you react, but how calmly you rise. Control begins with self-awareness and calm reflection. You can't manage what you don't understand, and you can't change what you don't notice. That's why awareness is always the first step. Before control comes clarity. You have to know what's happening inside you before you can redirect it. Most people react without thinking. They speak out of habit. They act out of emotion. They move through life on autopilot, unaware of what's really driving them. But control doesn't live in reaction. It lives in reflection, the ability to pause, to step back, to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What's really going on here? That one pause can save relationships. That one pause can stop a mistake. That one pause can protect your future. Because in that pause, you shift from automatic to intentional. You stop being a slave to your emotions and start becoming the master of your behavior. Self-awareness is like a mirror for the mind. It lets you see your patterns. It shows you the truth, without judgment, without excuse. And that truth is what gives you power. Power to choose differently. Power to rise above the moment. Power to respond instead of react. But it takes honesty. It takes slowing down when everything inside you wants to speed up. It takes sitting with discomfort, not running from it. It takes asking yourself the hard questions. What am I afraid of? Where is this anger really coming from? Is this reaction helping me or hurting me? And then it takes the courage to answer with truth. Control isn't cold. It's not about shutting down or suppressing emotion. It's about staying present, fully present. It's about being the calm in your own storm. It's about choosing thought over impulse, purpose over panic. And that choice begins the moment you become aware. Because once you see it clearly, you no longer have to be owned by it. You get to lead it, get to shift it. And over time, with practice, that self-awareness becomes your superpower. Don't react, respond. There's wisdom in the pause. Reactions are fast. They're automatic. They come from the part of you that wants to defend, protect, or lash out. Responses are different. They come from intention, not impulse. They come from clarity, not chaos. And the space between reaction and response, that's where your power lives. Most people never find that space. They get triggered and they fire back. They get hurt and they shut down. They get angry and they explode. And then they spend hours, days, or even years cleaning up the damage from something they did in seconds. But the ones who grow, the ones who lead, the ones who live with peace, they've learned to pause. They don't let the first wave of emotion become the final decision. They breathe. They wait. They reflect. And in that pause, they find wisdom. Because that pause is not weakness. That pause is not hesitation. That pause is mastery. It says, I choose how I act, even when I feel strongly. It says, I'm not a puppet pulled by emotion. I'm a person with direction. When you learn to pause, you stop being a victim of your mood. You stop being controlled by the moment, and you start creating outcomes you won't regret. It's easy to react. It's easy to let anger speak for you. But real strength, that's in the restraint. In the restraint. It's in saying nothing until you've gathered your thoughts. It's in doing nothing until you've checked your motives. It's in holding back just long enough to make a better move. Because once a word is spoken, you can't take it back. Once a bridge is burned, it's hard to rebuild. But when you pause, you give yourself the gift of choice. You give others the gift of grace. And you give the situation a chance to improve, not explode. So don't react, respond. The pause may only last a moment, but its impact can last a lifetime. A thermostat, not a thermometer, set your emotional tone. A thermometer simply reflects the environment. If it's hot, it rises. If it's cold, it drops. It reacts to whatever is around it. But a thermostat is different. It doesn't just reflect the temperature, it sets it. It decides what the atmosphere will be. And that's exactly what emotional control is about. Most people go through life like thermometers. If someone's rude, they get angry. If something goes wrong, they fall apart. If people are negative, they become negative too. They're always matching the energy around them, never mastering it. But if you want to live with purpose, if you want peace, power, and progress, you have to be a thermostat. You have to decide in advance who you are, how you want to feel, how you want to show up regardless of the noise around you. Because let's be honest, life is full of heat, pressure from work, tension in relationships, uncertainty in the world. And if you let all of that set your mood, you'll be up and down every day. But when you become the thermostat, you stay steady. You don't let outside conditions decide your inner climate. You choose calm when others choose chaos. You choose kindness when others choose conflict. You choose strength when others choose stress. And people will notice. They'll feel it. Because emotional energy is contagious. When you walk into a room and you're grounded, centered, and steady, you change the room. Not the other way around. That's leadership. That's discipline. That's mastery. It's not about pretending bad things don't happen. It's about refusing to let those things own you. You set the tone. You lead with intention, not reaction. You influence, not imitate. And with every decision, every breath, every moment of awareness, you build the kind of inner strength the world can't shake. Be the one who decides how you feel. Be the one who brings calm to the storm. Be the one who leads with emotional power, quiet, steady, and strong. Be the thermostat. Storms are guaranteed. How you handle them isn't. Life doesn't come with a promise of calm skies. It brings sunshine, yes, but it also brings rain. It brings peace, but it also brings pressure. It brings ease, but it will always bring challenge. Storms will come. That's not a maybe. That's a fact. Disappointments will show up. Plans will fall apart. People will hurt you. Life will test you when you least expect it. But here's the truth. How you respond is always up to you. You don't get to choose the weather, but you do get to choose your anchor. You don't control the storm, but you do control your sail. When the winds of life blow hard, you can either break or you can bend. You can either panic or you can prepare. You can either run from the storm or walk through it with purpose. Some people fall apart when the pressure rises. Others rise above it. Not because the storm is different, but because their mindset is. They've trained themselves to stay steady when things shake. They've built the emotional muscle to hold firm when the ground moves. It doesn't mean they don't feel fear. It means they don't surrender to it. It doesn't mean they don't get knocked down. It means they get back up faster. Storms test more than your circumstances. They test your character. They ask, are you controlled by chaos or are you guided by clarity? They reveal what's real in you. They show you where you stand and what still needs to grow. So when the next storm comes, and it will, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Be ready. Ground yourself. Center your mind. Guard your emotions and lead your response, because storms are loud. But you can be louder with your silence, your strength, and your steadiness. Let the storm do what it does. You do what you've trained for. Stay calm, stay focused, stay strong. Because while the storm is guaranteed, your downfall is not. Your peace is still possible. Your victory is still in your hands. Discipline over impulse is the path to strength. It's easy to do what feels good in the moment. It's easy to say what you want, eat what you crave, quit when it's hard, or lash out when you're angry. Impulse is always loud. It wants quick rewards. It wants to win now, even if it loses later. But strength doesn't come from giving in. Strength comes from holding back. Strength is built every time you choose patience over rage. Every time you choose effort over comfort. Every time you choose focus over distraction. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, especially when it's inconvenient. It's saying no when you're feeling say yes. It's doing what needs to be done, not just what you feel like doing. And that's not easy, because impulses are fast, emotional, and demanding. Discipline is quiet, steady, and sometimes boring, but discipline gets results. Impulse gets regret. Discipline builds the life you want. Impulse just delays it. The people who achieve real success in health, in relationships, in business, in personal peace aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who've trained themselves to show up, no matter how they feel. They've learned that feelings are temporary, but consequences are lasting. They've made discipline their habit, not their exception. Every time you resist an impulse, you grow. Every time you delay gratification, you build inner power. Every time you hold your tongue, stay on task, or choose the high road, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than the urge. And that proof compounds over time. It becomes confidence. It becomes character. It becomes control. Discipline doesn't silence your emotions. It just doesn't let them run the show. It's the voice that says, I know what I want most, not just what I want now. And that voice, that's the one that builds the strongest version of you. You don't suppress emotions. You understand and redirect them. Emotions are not the enemy. They're not something to fear or hide from. They're not signs of weakness. They're signs of life. When you suppress them, when you bury them, deny them, or pretend they don't exist, they don't disappear. They grow in the dark. They show up later in ways you can't control. Suppressed anger becomes bitterness. Suppressed sadness becomes exhaustion. Suppressed fear becomes anxiety. But when you face your emotions, when you allow yourself to feel without being overwhelmed, you take the first step toward power. Understanding begins with acceptance. Saying, yes, I feel this. Now let me explore why. You ask questions instead of running. Where is this emotion coming from? What is it trying to teach me? What's underneath the surface? Because once you understand it, you can do something with it. That's where redirection comes in. It's not about ignoring the emotion. It's about choosing where to take it. Anger can become action. Fear can become focus. Sadness can lead to deeper connection. Even jealousy can reveal hidden desires that fuel your growth. You take that raw emotion and you steer it towards something higher. That's what emotionally strong people do. They don't pretend they're always fine. They just don't let pain become poison. They feel everything, but they act with intention. Because emotional maturity isn't about becoming numb. It's about becoming wise. It's realizing that every emotion has energy, and that energy can either damage or develop you. It all depends on how you direct it. Suppression locks you in. Understanding sets you free. Redirection moves you forward. You're not meant to be a container for chaos. You're meant to be a channel for transformation. So when the feeling rises, welcome it. Then listen, learn, and lead it. Don't run from your emotions. Don't fear them. Don't bury them. Feel them. Face them, then point them in the direction of your growth. The emotional control is the gatekeeper to peace, power, and progress. Because without it, everything else becomes unstable. You can be smart, but lose your temper and ruin a relationship. You can be talented, but let frustration derail your focus. You can be full of potential, but one emotional outburst can sabotage your future. Emotions are powerful forces. They can lift you or destroy you. They can guide you or mislead you. That's why control isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being centered, rooted, aware. When you master your emotions, you don't become numb. You become wise. You feel everything, but you don't act on everything. You listen to your emotions, but you don't obey them blindly. You lead with clarity, not chaos. That's peace. Peace doesn't mean life is easy. It means you are steady even when life isn't. It means you have the ability to stay calm in the storm. It means you don't trade your inner state for every outer disturbance. That's power. Not the power to control others, but the power to control yourself. The power to rise above petty conflicts. The power to hold your tongue when anger wants to speak. The power to keep moving when fear says stop. And with that power comes progress. Because emotional control helps you stay on course. It helps you finish what you start. It keeps you from burning bridges, quitting too soon, or chasing the wrong things. It keeps your mind clear and your energy focused. Peace gives you clarity. Power gives you discipline. Progress becomes the result, and all of it begins with how you manage what happens inside of you. The world will always test you. People will push your buttons. Life will throw the unexpected, but emotional control is your anchor. It's your filter. It's your shield. When you own your emotions, you own your life. And when you master that one thing, everything else opens up. So if you take just one thing from this message, let it be this. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Master your emotions and you master your decisions. Master your decisions and you master your destiny. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, aware, disciplined, unshakable. Because the strongest people aren't those who never feel, they're the ones who feel it all and still choose the higher path. So from this day forward, don't just chase success, chase self-mastery. Because emotional control isn't just a skill. It's your superpower. And once you unlock it, there's no storm you can't face, no pressure you can't rise under, and no future you can't build.